I'm Vera. I lead our brand content and events team at Teachable. So we've been planning this for months, and we are so happy that you all are here. So thank you again. And we get to talk about the very sexy topic of money. So before we do that, I just want to give everyone a chance to formally introduce themselves, tell folks what your niche is, and yeah, a little bit more about you. Hi, I'm Jess Ramos, and I'm a data analytics and tech content creator. My biggest audience is LinkedIn, so I'm one of those cringy LinkedIn influencers. I've also been embrace the cringe. I've also been diversifying on Instagram and other platforms over the past year or so. My company is Big Data Energy, where I help people find their own BDE in their data careers. So my brand is very fun and outgoing and really just helping make data accessible. And then I recently launched my first Teachable course last October, and I'll get more into that a little bit later, but it's just been a really exciting way for me to diversify my revenue as a creator. And I recently became a full-time creator 2 months ago because I lost my corporate job. So I relate to a lot of people who have been laid off or lost their jobs.
It's a good club to be in.
So. Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Welcome to the club. I'm Gabby Beckford. I am a LinkedIn influencer too. Shout out to LinkedIn. And I'm a travel and lifestyle creator on Instagram and TikTok mostly. I started creating as a hobby when I was in college, and people just never stopped asking me questions, and I kept answering them on social media, and it turned into me going full-time in 2020. So I've been a full-time creator for 5 years. And my content is around travel and lifestyle, but I really say it's about ungatekeeping the good life. And for me, that just happens to be on a beach somewhere warm.
Hi, I'm Lauren Kay. I'm a young adult author and an online creator. I help writers who are looking to become traditionally published authors. Never thought I would put myself on social media, but back when my first book came out in 2023, I was told that was the main way to promote it. So I started making videos about how I got into writing and found my agent. And before I knew it, I had a business centered around helping and gatekeeping and publishing and helping others to achieve the author dream. Really happy to be here.
We're trying to earn some applause too. My name's Terry. I'm a father of 4, and I also coach my daughter's flag football team. We won the championship last year, so outside of that, I am a public speaker. I'm an author. I'm a consultant, a course creator. I started doing that because I got fired from my job 10 years ago, and I was embarrassed to try to find another job. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just try consulting. And then I realized through consulting, it was much easier for me to get clients if I did workshops and keynotes and things like that. So that's where I started speaking. And then sometimes you don't feel like talking, so you just make a course and start selling courses. And that's what led me here today. So I'm glad to be here.
All right. Thank you all. We're going to keep it very real on this panel. So first and foremost, can you each, and we can start from Terry and then work our way back, let us know what your biggest revenue stream is right now, and then help us see the whole pie. So your biggest one, and then what else is kind of supporting that?
Yeah, right now the biggest one is actually coaching and consulting. Reason being, I'm working on my second book right now. I just wanted more flexibility and more stability. And I just love helping people. So mainly doing coaching and consulting, but the way that I like to do it is by using my courses as the foundation for the curriculum. And then I just answer questions afterwards. So I'm focusing on just having more asynchronous ways to help people. Outside of that, I'm also a public speaker. Just got back from Texas last night, I think. I'm kind of tired. Going to Florida next week. So doing that stuff. Brand deals are pretty big as well. Those are a lot of fun because you can help more people at scale, especially if you don't have a big audience. Course sales, affiliate marketing, and that I think is it.
So for my business, the biggest revenue driver is our agency, where we pair professional book editors, most of whom either worked or currently work at Big 5 publishers, with writers. And they get one-on-one assistance to help really make their manuscript shine. Then after that would be my online course on how to land a literary agent, which I launch every few months in cohorts. And then we also do monthly workshops, some digital products, and a little bit of affiliate revenue as well.
My biggest income stream is brand partnerships, for sure. I've been doing this a long time. I definitely think I set myself to be brand friendly. And as someone who travels the world, I'm at different times, so I'm very much relate to being jet lagged. I was in 3 countries last month. So it's something that I can do asynchronously. Like, yeah, I can work with, let's say, Expedia, and I don't have to be in here holding a product. I can do something online. So brand partnerships, speaking engagements, things like this, corporate speaking engagements, consulting for companies like Lululemon or PepsiCo or Chase Bank, things like that. And my memberships, I have 2 memberships, YTIB, which is where I coach creators, Your Travel Influencer Bag. I know I have some of them here. Hi. And Seek PTO, which is my second business where I kind of share travel scholarships. That's kind of how I got started on scholarships. And then I'll end with saying, I never stopped applying to things. That's kind of been my thing my whole life. I graduated debt-free on scholarships. I traveled after I graduated on grants and stuff. And now as a business grants are a great income stream. We are small businesses.
The word of the year for me is diversification. I'm also heavily relying on brand deals right now. Brand deals are great. Last year, I made over double my corporate salary in brand deals, and that's when I realized, shoot, this is real money. Like, I can actually turn this into a business. And then I have a few other like income streams as well, just like some passive income with LinkedIn Learning, my Substack subscription, and then my Teachable course is my newest one. I launched that in October, and right now that's like 5 to 10% of my income, but my goal is to really just not pump the brakes on brand deals because money's good, but just diversify and increase these other areas of my business as well. Do you guys, as you think about the last year, 2 years, and how much this has changed, has that pie shifted for you at all? Do you feel like you've seen the areas that used to be much larger sort of shrinking? You're talking about diversification, but any major shifts that you all have felt or that you're thinking about already for the next year ahead?
On my end, I'm just trying to make my life simpler. I'm trying to really design my business around my life just because, again, I got a bunch of kids, so I like to go to the gym, and I don't know, I think we're always like chasing this future version of ourselves where we're like, we have no problems whatsoever, and like things are just great, and I'm like, well, you probably just try to make that happen now. And the more effort you really put into lifestyle design as well as your business, the better things work out. So on my end, I'm really looking forward to just doing more asynchronous work with my clients, selling more digital products, and helping people through community as well. Because like the grind gets to you after a while, right? When you're just trying to sell all the time. I'm trying to lock in with really good partners, really good people, and just automate as much as I can. Even if I'm coaching someone, just having them like send me like a voice note, and I'll run it through AI or something, and then shoot it back. Like, I don't know, it's when I hang out with my kids. So, that's really it.
Yeah, over the past 2 years, revenue has been pretty steady, but I have a pretty similar mindset. I have a nearly 3-year-old. I'm about to have another in July, and so thanks. So the business has largely stayed the same in terms of revenue, but work-life balance has drastically shifted with AI, with bringing on great team members. And just with getting a real understanding of what to prioritize and what to focus on.
I think for me, I'm single in New York City, so that's where I'm at. I pay for myself, and so I have my own free time, and I enjoy it. But it really is about lifestyle design. I'm a travel creator. Like at the end of the day, I want to live my life the way I want to live it. That's why I quit my 9 to 5. That's why I was like shaking in my corporate office. Like I just want to live my life the way I want to live it. So I feel like my income streams have shifted as my lifestyle has shifted. I was traveling full time. I needed something to very minimal time while I was like living my like digital nomad dream. And now that I'm based in New York City, I have more time to up-level my content. So I'm doing more brand partnerships because my content quality is getting a lot better. I'm doing my passive income, my Teachable course, which I've had since 2020, is still just kind of passively moving along. I'm doing less, let's say, virtual speaking engagements, obviously, because I'm in person. Like, it just shifted with my lifestyle and with my income goals. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think the shift has been like brand deals are great, but I also want to make sure I'm investing in myself long term and building out these products. And I don't want to stop doing brand deals, but I also want to have something sustainable for long term where I maybe don't have to work quite as hard
if you've ever done a brand deal before, you know how much hard work it is. It's usually 50 to 100 plus emails. Like, it's a lot of work, a lot of revisions. And I ultimately want to build my life in a way where I can get a little more passive income and just not work as hard, because I relate to you a lot. I like to digital nomad a little bit. I like to travel around, and it's a little harder to do that when you're so tied so closely to your work. So building out like passive income streams, I believe, will be a great way to diversify my revenue while also having more time for myself to do the things that I really want to do.
Can we talk a little bit about the anxiety and the fear that might come with trying to diversify? I think it's your word of the year. It sounds really easy, but to make that jump into something like a digital product, a community, it is a lot of work. So how did you sort of navigate that uncertainty, and what sort of helped you guys take that leap?
I can talk about anxiety. On my end, it is hard when you're trying a new revenue stream, because like you probably have something that's working, hopefully, right? And if you sacrifice time for that thing that's working to the unknown, you're like, is this going to work or not, right? So the way I think about it is success leaves clues, right? So if you can find other creators who are similar to you, maybe a similar size, similar audience, and you're seeing they're finding success with that, then you can reverse engineer what they did, right? But I think if you can just kind of dip your toe in the water without fully committing, then you're in a better spot. But like, if you just see one YouTube video and all of a sudden you're like, you know what, that's me. It's like, no, you're like, should I think that feel a bit more? So just, again, think about your lifestyle first. Like, you actually want to live this lifestyle. Because people tell me that all the time. They're like, oh, you're a public speaker. That sounds great. I'm like, yeah, when you're going places, cool. But sometimes you're going to like Albuquerque, you know what I mean? Unless you live in Albuquerque or whatever, right? So it's like, really just think about it first and see what that lifestyle looks like before fully committing.
Yeah, I think when it comes to creating like a full-on course or a digital product, definitely very anxiety-inducing. Am I going to spend 100 hours making this and discover no one wants it, or I increased it in the wrong way? And I took part over a decade ago now in Y Combinator, which is a startup accelerator, and which taught me a ton. And it was all about, how do you test if you are creating something that people actually want by putting in the least amount of upfront work to see if they actually want it. So that's why before I create anything, I at minimum do at least like a survey through Instagram stories. People will respond to those, and you're going to get really valuable feedback. Of course, 100 people saying they want something does not mean you're going to see 100 purchases, but you can at least compare 100 people saying they want something in a poll to only 10 people saying they want something. And then if I'm going and creating a full-on course, then I'm getting on the phone, I'm getting on Zoom, and I'm talking to my audience and learning about what they actually want versus what I think they want or what I need myself. And that has always really helped me to make sure I'm spending my time to create valuable products and services, as opposed to just like guessing, throwing all my time into something and then being super disappointed when no one buys it.
I do think it's a lot about mindset. I think when it comes to the anxiety, the hesitation before diversifying income, it is a lot about the way you look at it. I have diversified from the beginning, honestly. I've always been excited for more money. I like money. I do want more of it. So I started with one income stream, and then I would make sure it's set. Like, make sure it works properly, you know how to do it, like you're not figuring it out still. You move on to the next one, you set it up fully. So I wouldn't set up 5 income streams 10% and work on all of them at once, but you set something up and you move on. I had a 9 to 5. And while I was doing that, I made $1,000 a month between freelance writing and digital products. And once I made that $1,000 a month, like for 3 months, 4 months, I knew that was sustainable. And that's how I could eventually imagine quitting my 9 to 5. So, I'm a child of immigrants. I think I've always had that mentality of like kind of hustle and excitement around like, oh, this could be another opportunity. I'm an opportunity girl. Like, I like the excitement of doing something new, but also you have to release the shame of it not working. I've definitely created a product that I was like, I might have jumped the gun on that one. No one wanted that one. Okay. But you do it with content too, though. If you're a creator, you have to be okay with it not working. That's part of the job. You cannot be a creator and not fail. And like, it shouldn't be a personal attack on you. It should be very exciting to say, maybe if I reworded that and it succeeds, or maybe if I just don't do that as a course, I do that as a PDF or as a template. Like, failure is not the end at all. It is just another part of the journey. So I think the mindset is everything.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of fear and anxiety in general, but especially when it comes to launching a course and putting yourself out there. My fear was really rooted in the fact that, is anybody going to care what I'm selling? Like, does anybody actually want this? And the number one thing I hear from people and other creators is, why would someone pay me for this skill? It's free on Google. Well, my course is on SQL. It's a coding language for data analysts. It's not the newest and the sexiest. It's been around since the 1970s. And for a reason, it's like the bread and butter of data analytics. Nothing that I can do in SQL isn't on the internet or in ChatGPT. People can go find that information, but they want to learn from me. I see so many women sign up for my classes that are like, you inspire me. I didn't know I could be a data analyst, but I see you doing it and I want to learn from you. So just bringing, I'm like getting chills saying that right now, but just like bringing your own personality to what you're doing is what really like makes you stand out. So I just kind of put myself out there, and I was just kind of trusting like my amazing team at Teachable, Olivia, Monique, I don't know where she is, but they were huge support for helping me build that confidence when I didn't have it. And then I just kind of jumped off the deep end, and then I started making passive income. And honestly, I'm addicted to making money too. I love making passive income. Every time I get an email that I sell something and I'm like in a hot tub at the beach or something, I'm like, oh, great, time for another cocktail, you know? I mean, it's really fun to like succeed and do it. And you really just have to put yourself out there and not be scared to fail. And if you do, try again. Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Giovanna. Like, you guys are the curators, so it's out there, but no one is going to do it in your unique way. Lauren, you kind of talked on this already, but I'd be curious if everyone could touch on sort of that initial idea, what to hone in on for any sort of product or community, or even like, Terry, as you think about what you're speaking on, did it really come from the comments, right? Like, that's what a lot of people say, like, your audience is telling you. Just talk about that sort of initial moment or experience.
I'm going to check our understanding here. So essentially, we're coming up with our ideas for our business.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, right? So, like, are you surveying people? Are they, like, are they begging for it?
Yeah. No, I mean, initially I just shot from the hip. I'm like, here's what they want. And they're like, no, dude. So now what I do is I focus, again, I'm starting with myself. Like, what do I actually want to talk about? Because people often ask me questions that I don't want to answer anymore. Or I never wanted to answer. So it's like, that's what people normally say. Like, what are they asking you? I'm like, nothing I really talk about, right? So what you have to do is just do a self-diagnostic, like even like the Ikigai exercise. Anyone done that? Ikigai? You guys into that? Or Robert Greene has a life's task exercise as well. Get clear on what you want to talk about, what's going to excite you, not just what you can get paid for. Otherwise, it's going to feel like a job because it is a job. But then once you start getting some traction, yeah, like just seeing what hits, how you light up, even like how does your energy feel when you're talking about this stuff or sharing it, in addition to getting some feedback from your audience. But I know it sounds corny, and 10 years ago I never would have talked this way, but just start with yourself, because you're building a brand, you're building a lifestyle that's based on your knowledge. So just be very picky about what knowledge that you want to share. And then beyond that, to Jess's point, like your goal is to get paid for who you are, not what you do. Right? I'll say it one more time. Get paid for who you are, not what you do. And you have to build up your brand around that as well. That way you can sell the same course that's free on YouTube. People still pay for it.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely get ideas from the comments, and often it's not that they're so out there or different from what you'd expect, but there are 1,000 different niche topics and questions people could ask, and it's just really looking at the repetition, and then sort of like the triangle of the repetition, making sure you're passionate about it. And then making sure that there's actually a profitable course or product behind it, and not just something maybe that you want to provide for free. But yeah, I mean, initially on social media, I was just trying to promote my debut novel, and I would always talk about my book coach, who's amazing and a good friend now, and just comment after comment was, how did you find your book coach? And I'd run agencies in the past. I used to have a matchmaking agency, so I was like, guess I could do that one again.
I started creating again as a hobby, so it had no business strategy. It was vibes. So the vibes were that I was in college and I needed to have scholarships, so I made like a list for myself. And then after I graduated, I wanted to travel and I knew how to apply to scholarships, so I made a list of travel scholarships. Like it was just my own list. And then I wanted reminders because I have ADHD and I forget the dates, I didn't apply. So I built it for myself. I mean, this is my truth. I built it for myself because I needed the tool. But then I started talking about it a little bit with my audience and people were like, can you send me that? That sounds really good. I need that too. I also forget dates. I also want to travel. And I was like, okay, I could maybe templatize this. I made it on my website, and that eventually started going viral on TikTok. People were like, holy crap, one place for all of this stuff. Like, I want access to that. And that turned into Seek PTO. And so that was something, I guess, that did the ikigai. But it was a strategic. It was just something that I built what I wanted to exist. And I knew that I wasn't alone. Like, if I want it, at least 1,000 other people want it. And if I want it really bad, not that I just want a new pair of shoes, like, I needed something unique. And I think that was the other part of it. I needed it, and I also knew that I had not been able to find it. And so I knew I had to build it. I had to build it.
Yeah, I think for me, my audience was begging for this course for a long time. I started out on LinkedIn a little over 3 years ago now, which is crazy. And it wasn't a business for me back then. It was just a fun, silly little hobby. I was just sharing what I was learning in my career as a data analyst. And then I started making silly little videos on Instagram. And next thing I knew, I had a silly little 150K followers between my platforms, and I wasn't making any money. And I was like, that's crazy. And that's when I started to want to diversify, my income from my corporate job, because you never know when you can truly lose that corporate job. But just during that time period, people kept asking, like, we want to learn SQL from you. We want to learn data analytics from you. Everybody wanted one-on-one coaching and mentorship. Obviously, I can't mentor hundreds of thousands of people at the same time. So I started to think about how I could kind of streamline it and scale it and provide something useful and valuable, for what they're paying for, that people could kind of have a piece of me, my expertise, and my knowledge without it, taking as much time as coaching. And that's kind of how my course was born. I started to fill in gaps in the industry. There weren't a lot of intermediate courses out there for what I was doing. So the courses out there teaching this part, I started my course here, a little bit above, and went further higher up. So I just differentiated myself in a really good place in the industry. And that was after a year or two of really just building credibility and listening to what my audience wanted. Okay, we definitely want to leave time for Q&A. So I'll ask you all, if you were starting from scratch tomorrow, what's the first thing you would do to make money as a creator in 2025 today?
I always have to go first.
You definitely don't have to.
If I were starting from scratch tomorrow, what's the first thing I would do is I would make a digital product that I could sell for a very low price that was aligned with a service I would want to sell as a coach or consultant. And I'll just put it up there for seriously $20 to get people on my list. And then from there, upsell.
Yeah, I would probably start with small, one-on-one coaching or consulting, because two things from that. One, it's a lot easier to get someone to just pay you one-on-one for your time than to try and right out of the gate, sell a course or a digital product. I always say it's way easier to make $1,000 from one person than $1 from 1,000 people. So I would start out doing that just to try and build up a little bit of a stable base, but at the same time, you're also getting really valuable information from your audience about what they want.
If I had to start from scratch, I think I would make what I call a business strategy sandwich. And it's so funny because I had a mentor one time when I was just beginning being a creator, and I asked, do I need a business strategy? And he said, no, you don't need one. Yeah, you don't need one. You're just the beginning. And she was wrong. She was wrong. I think we need a business strategy. So I would make a business strategy sandwich. I would look at where I am right now, which was just beginning, no products, just the vibes. And then I would look at where I want to be, what I want my lifestyle to look like how much money do I want to make, what type of things do I want to do every single day. And then I would fill in the in-between with research. Is it digital products? Is it speaking engagements? Is it brand partnerships? How many hours do I want to work a day? Do I have kids? I would do all of that. So I would make a business strategy. I wish I had had that at the beginning because it led to me kind of A/B testing way too much. And I think I could have saved time by just having a more clear vision of like being able to rope myself back in and be like, remember the plan was to have more passive income? Why are we doing all this active stuff? It would have helped me stay more aligned to have something outlined like that.
My answer is a little cheesy, but if someone wants to start tomorrow, my advice is start today. Because truly, like you have to put yourself out there and start posting. If you keep saying tomorrow, I'll do this tomorrow, I'm too busy, next week, next thing you know, you're laid off from your corporate job or your brands aren't diversified enough. And you can really end up in a not so ideal situation. So you really just need to start ASAP. And if you're newer to making content, you're probably going to cringe at your videos a few months from now, but you just have to do it. I still cringe at all my own content every day. Like it's just part of the awkwardness of like, oh, that's my voice, that's me, you know? But you have to treat it like a business and just do it. And people are going to like see your authenticity and really want to follow you. And those are the people that are going to hang around and want to learn from you and hopefully buy whatever you're selling later on down the line.
I love that.
Should we start Q&A?
Okay, cool.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy. I'm mainly a mental health creator. So 36 people died in my life. So I talk a lot about grief and mental health. So if you're a creator, influencer who has experienced grief, please talk to me so you can be on my podcast. My question is, what stories haven't you shared yet that you would like to go like deeper on that could potentially inspire other creators to do the same? For me, so I'm a data analyst. I have a math and Spanish double major, so I was always a woman in the math department at a small private school in the South. So, you know, I'd walk in all sparkly with like my pink outfits, like not quite Elwood's, but you know, a little in that direction. And that's like, I see a pink pen out there, yes. For me, like a story that I want to talk about more is what it's like being a woman in tech, a woman in STEM, but still being able to be very feminine. I know I'm dressed in all black today, but you know, like still being able to dress the way you want, act the way you want, still be a pretty girly girl, but also being smart. And that's a story that's really important to me. And it definitely shaped who I am today because that was a time in my life where I was very insecure and not sure of who I was. And now all my haters can watch me on social media.
I'm pretty authentic in my content. I'm pretty vulnerable in my content. There's nothing that I try not to talk about. Something I'm excited to just go deeper on is that I'm turning 30 this year. Shout out to the 30s. And yeah, I'm just like, I get a lot of questions of like, when are you gonna be done being a creator? And I'm like, oh my God, I just got here. Let me rock. So, I mean, what does longevity as a creator look like is something I'm excited to talk about. Like, I mean, there are older creators I aspire to, like, we're all kind of building in the same timeline, right? So I'm excited to see, like, what does it look like to be a creator of 10 years, of 15 years, a creator who's a creatorpreneur who has multiple businesses. And, you know, what is the future of this career? I'm really excited to be a part of that, be the history that's being written. So I'll be talking about it.
Yeah, so much that is harder to share. But I think the first thing that comes to mind is I had a pretty big startup failure after Y Combinator. You know, it's easy to just share the successes on social media and to be up on stage and be like, oh, I'm part of such a cool panel surrounded by the most amazing people. But in reality, a lot of my life was spent overcoming failure and thinking, okay, that company failed, so I'm gonna hide under a rock and never do anything again. And I really did hide after that company failed. And then I'd never interviewed for a job because I'd always run my own business. And I had one job interview where she took like a fake phone call and ended the interview. And then after that, I just stopped interviewing. And I really regret that because I look back and I think like traditional job, there's many things you can learn from 9-to-5 jobs. And especially I was in my mid-20s. I could have learned a lot and grown rather than just deciding that like that was over. And I'd also always sort of wanted to be a creator or have a podcast or put myself out there more. But I was just so convinced by that stream of failures that was what defined me. So I think, whatever you've been through, you should never let that hold you back from doing what's next. As Jess was saying, start today, not tomorrow. And do not worry about being cringe. Oh my God, everything I do is cringe. Do you see that screenshot? That's up there for 10 minutes. That's my life. But when you are willing to accept that, you also get to have the coolest opportunities. And when you're not worried about just the people who, are laughing at you because they themselves are insecure or wish that they could be chasing their dreams, and you just focus on surrounding yourself with really amazing, positive people and not worrying about what your face looks like on screen, you get to just live a really awesome life.
So I'm going last. All right. So maybe first of all, thanks for asking that question. It's good to see you. On my end, I'm pretty open about a lot of challenges I've gone through, and I can highlight it. Unfortunately, about 8 years ago, I lost my son, TJ. I was also battling alcoholism for a while. I stopped drinking 10 years ago, actually May 15th, 2015. So, very long time, yeah. I was I was also 20 pounds heavier too. So things have changed, fortunately. But for the first X years of my career as an entrepreneur, I didn't talk about that stuff because I was embarrassed. I thought people would not want to hire me and things like that. And I was presenting an illusion of someone who's this affable guy who's life is great, when really I was going through a lot of pain. I lost my brother, I lost my father, I lost my son within 8 years. And it wasn't until I started talking about that stuff that my brand really did blow up, to be honest. All of a sudden, ConvertKit came to my home to create a documentary about me. And then I'm on TV shows and bigger stages and stuff like that. So when I said earlier, you want to get paid for who you are, not what you do, I know the outcome that comes from that, right? So now the stories I share, it's not about that, it's about what comes next. Because sometimes when bad things happen, people think that's the story. No, that's the inciting incident, right? We want to know what happened next. So when I say I'm more of a lifestyle entrepreneur, I'm just showing my lifestyle. I like to work out and hang out with my kids and travel when I have to, but that's what lights me up and that's what I'm able to do now.
Thank you all. One more. Hi, I'm Darcy. So I'm currently working full-time while growing my business and growing my community on LinkedIn. I'm a cringy LinkedIn person also. I was just wondering if there was a certain point while you're working your 9 to 5 that you realized that you had to make that transition to then working for yourself full-time. Yeah, I just recently made that transition. Funny story, actually. I was actually let go from my job unexpectedly. So it's something I'm actually currently navigating in real time, moving into this, because I didn't exactly make that decision on my own. But I realized already a couple months later, reflecting back, that that's the decision that I should have made, but I just couldn't make it myself. I was killing myself every day in this job that I was miserable in, and I was making money. I was successful doing my own thing. I was just too scared. I liked the security of the 9 to 5. These are fake quotes for people in the back. Security of a 9 to 5, because it's not secure. I came in one day, hopped on Zoom. Today's your last day. I was locked out 7 minutes later. So truly, you have to protect yourself and keep building while you're doing the 9 to 5 thing until I don't want to say until you feel like you're ready to jump, because I didn't feel ready to jump. I was pushed out, but until the timing is right, whether it's your choice or someone else's. But I definitely recommend, if that's your goal, start saving money. Create a 1-year runway, try to get as much of a runway as you can. Operate your business very low cost if you can. Diversify your revenue streams. Start maxing out your 401k, do all the things that you can do to make yourself as financially secure before that transition. But my biggest advice is don't stop building just because you have a 9 to 5. I did that for almost 2 years, and it was very hard. I'm a workaholic with a lack of boundaries for myself. But don't stop, because you can lose your job in an instant, and like that, everything's gone. But right now, I'm still paying my bills, I'm still making money, and I'm not stressed. I'm having a great time.
I agree completely. I also quit my job. I had a math degree too. Oh my gosh, look at that. Shout out to the math girls. Yeah, shout out to the math girls. This time girls. Yeah, I quit my job. Again, I come from immigrant parents, doctor, lawyer, engineer. I chose the engineer and I had made it. And like my life was supposed to be set and I was supposed to ride off into the sunset. But I felt called to do something different. And it was scary. It was terrifying. Like no one in my family had done that before. And it's like, do you take the leap or not? Like, are you making a bad decision? Are you gonna regret it? And I quit my job on Valentine's Day of 2020. What happened after Valentine's Day of 2020? To travel the world too. I thought I made the biggest mistake. I can like get teary, but I held my phone in my hand with my boss's number, and I was like, should I call him back? Hey, like, can I get my job back? But I didn't. By the way, before the pandemic hit, I quit my job and like on the way home in the car, I was like sobbing. Like I was like, this is so scary. Like I just made a big mistake, but I like did not stop putting one foot in front of the other. Like at some point, you just have to do it. You have, like, if this is what you feel called to do, and like, you know, for sure, I was making sure I had like sustainable income, and I did my 401k match like maxed out before I quit for 2 years. Like I did the things I needed to do to be secure for a little bit. I had like a nest egg, saved for my job. I lived at home. Like I did all the things financially because at the end of the day, we're trying to make money. Like we need to be smart about money, make strategic decisions. I've never been the like, I'll have $3, I'll go backpacking. Never that. Never that. I need a little money. But at some point, you just have to do it. You have to like trust yourself and like know that again, failure's not the end. Maybe you quit your job and you had a brand deal lined up and then they quit, like they back out, and you're like, oh my god, this is my worst nightmare. Like another one will come. I think I really had to hone my abundance mentality and say, money is everywhere. Money is everywhere in so many ways, and it's just a matter of time of figuring out how I tap into it sustainably or how I make it flow to me, like how I open my own door for it to flow to me. But money is everywhere. And it's not a matter of like, there's no money for me. It's just like, how can I tap into it? And if you really have that mentality, I think if you get to the right place, just keep taking those one step in front of the other.
Yeah, I really like the advice that's being shared here because first being in the startup world during the big startup boom and then being a creator, I feel like these jobs can really get romanticized and you see people just doing, you know, 6-figure brand deals and working from the beach and living their lives, you know, not talking about anyone amazing up here or anything. It can seem easier, right? When you don't see the tears and the years in the middle of just feeling so scared. So I love the advice of burn the candle on both ends. Like it sucks, but you gotta do it and work your full-time job or consult and make money while you build up your audience and provide a ton of value and prove that there is a business there. Because I never want to inspire someone to do something that would take away their financial safety net. You never know who you're talking to in an audience. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of predatory people online who inspire, but who also maybe, you know, don't share the realistic outcome for 99% of people, at least in their first year, right? When you're truly making money, it's generally not your first year. And so you want to have that balance. In terms of when I did the leap, speaking of which, it wasn't necessarily the smartest financial move. But what happened was I had a traditional job for 1 year. It was pretty cozy and nice. And then I had my daughter. And I was like, oh, I can't go back to work right now. I definitely will, but not after 12 weeks. And I just chose life and like following what I wanted to do and how I wanted to be spending my time, knowing I would never get those newborn days back as a mom of one. And I'm so glad that I did that. And then the reason I decided to like take the full leap and turn what I was doing on social media into a full-time job was I was creating, I had like 1 hour of sunlight a day and this amazing babysitter watching my daughter as I was making my TikTok videos. And my sitter was also like young and hip and on TikTok herself. And I was like, I need to make money off of this because this was going to be so embarrassing if I'm paying to have childcare to like film myself in front of my kitchen cabinet. And at the end of the day, if that goes to nothing. So that was what really pushed me to turn it into a business.
That's tough. That was cinematic. I was following along here. I'll be quick because I got fired. That's why I started my business. But I think when people are asking me like, hey, when should I leave? What I would say is wait until you can generate and convert cold leads that actually make money from you. Because like often people quit. They're like, oh, like I'm doing well enough. And it's like, well, you're selling to your cousins. You know what I mean? It's like you're gonna run out of family members after a while. So make sure you have something that feels more sustainable. And if possible, have some kind of like enterprise level offer that's like $50,000, $100,000. And that way, if you get 1 or 2 of those, you're in a good spot. I think if people, when they leave, they're like, oh, I charge $300 an hour. I'm like, all right, well, you know you're not going to be working 40 hours a week, right? So if you can just feel more comfortable by having those 2 things in place, like you can convert cold leads and you have a more high-end offer, then you'll be in a better spot.
Thank you guys so much. This was great.